and that is for the position of secretary on the executive board. There are 3 positions on the executive board: the chair, the vice chair, and a secretary. Is anyone interested in serving in that capacity for 2 years, I believe? Is that right, Christy? Or...
I think that you re-elect every year, but you can serve up to 2 years, I believe, on the executive committee.
Okay, super. Okay, super. Is anyone interested in that position? Which doesn't have a whole lot of duties that I'm aware of. Attending the commission, the executive committee meetings, of course, is probably the main one, and voting in those meetings. That's probably the biggest thing I can think of. Any interest by anyone?
Can you guys hear me? It's Nancy.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Hi, Nancy.
Hi. Is this are you supposed to be able to see me as well? Or just hear me?
Well, if you have a camera option.
I do, but it's probably best you don't see me anyway.
Oh, that's okay.
It's early in the morning.
Sure. Whatever you're comfortable with. I don't have to worry about having a bad hair day. My hair looks the same all the time. But whatever you're comfortable with.
Well, I just got on, and I hate to manipulate something and lose you again. So I'm just going to hang right where I am. So I just got in. You're asking about positions, and Christy, what did we talk about? I mean, help me out here.
So currently there's a vacancy on the Tourism Commission after Jim Allen left the at-large position, and so we had discussed possibly trying to find somebody from the Inglewood Arts District area to represent that area on the commission, which is when we talked to you about that. Nancy has expressed interest in doing so. She has submitted her, we're talking about Nancy Kerr, sorry. She has submitted her application to the city clerk, and we're just waiting for that process to move forward. And then we were just discussing, there's a vacancy on the executive committee for the Tourism Commission for the secretary position. So that's all you've missed.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I think I appreciate you catching me up. I wasn't sure what the position was on the executive committee. So
okay. So Nancy, you've applied for the at-large position, correct?
Is that right, Christy?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. So, assuming we can't, hold two positions at the same time, I would need someone else, to be interested, to express interest in the secretary position.
And what were the duties for that? That's where I didn't hear.
Oh, okay. Really just attending the executive committee meetings, and those are normally a week before this full commission meeting. And, we discuss things involving the agenda for this meeting. And there's a vote, it's totally all transparent, of course. But other than that, I'm not aware of anything special or any extra time that's really required other than attending those meetings. But I think if I'm understanding correctly, since you applied for the at-large, we would need someone else to be interested in the secretary position.
Okay.
So thank you, though. I'm sorry you couldn't hear me.
That's okay. No, I had just got in late. I was just trying to make sure that wasn't something that
Sure.
I could apply for and not the other one, but I'm good in the at-large. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Sam, can I make a point of clarification?
Please do. Yes.
So the at-large position is a vacant spot that's on the commission. That's where that's Jim's former position on the board. So that is the general board position. So that position, that person still would qualify for the executive committee if they so desired.
Oh, so they could serve in both.
Yeah, so the
okay.
at-large title is just the title of that vacant position that's on the general board, just as the representative from the Attractions Coalition or any of the other members would be. So everyone is there either representing a particular group or organization, or they're an at-large member. So any of that membership body is then qualified to serve on the executive committee.
Very good, very good. Okay, I recall I myself was an at-large at one point. So, okay, well then thank you very much, Eric, and I apologize. Nancy, that opens it back up to you, unless someone else would like to express interest. So I guess saying, Nancy, since you've spoken, if you're interested, in the secretary position, you are welcome to be considered.
Okay. Well, I would consider it. I don't know exactly what I would be needing to do. Do I have to take notes and things like that at the meeting? Is that what what I would be doing? Thank God.
Yeah, our staff takes meeting minutes. So it's just a position to sit on the executive committee,
right,
with just one additional meeting every other month.
Right. So
okay.
the note taking isn't necessary. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I can do that.
Okay. Anyone else like to move, come forward for consideration? I have not heard anyone, but.
Well,
okay.
Only
none.
if someone else doesn't want it.
Okay. Oh, that sounds fine. Well, hearing no other names.
Sam?
Yes.
This is John Thornton.
Hi, John.
I'm concerned about being able to take proper notes, but if the notes are being prepared by the staff, then I would be willing to serve on the executive committee as well.
Okay. Okay, well, we've heard two names now. Is there anyone else? Okay.
I didn't hear his name. Did you? Somehow I lost y'all. What was the second name?
John Thornton has come forward of the Chicago and Alton Depot. Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm good to back out then, honestly. I just was trying to step up. So I'm good to stay in the other position. No problem.
Okay, we appreciate that, Nancy. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Okay. How do we, I don't recall the parliamentary procedure here, Christy, in terms of, do we put John's name forward and ask for a voice vote, ayes? I think that's how we'll do it, right?
That's correct, Sam.
Okay, sounds good. We'd like to bring forward John Thornton's name for consideration for a vote, I should say. Could I have ayes?
Aye.
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 Okay. Anyone objecting? Okay, hearing none, we've put forward and approved John Thornton's name as secretary. Welcome to the executive committee, John.
Thank you. I'll try to do my best.
Okay, well, we're very, very happy to have you. Okay, thank you, everyone. I appreciate your interest. Okay, moving forward to reports and comments. Eric and Morris, may we have a budget update, please?
Sure, thank you, Sam. So we're going to take a little bit of time this morning to cover two different things. One, current budget update, sort of let you know where we are today and what our trend is showing. And then we're going to talk a little bit more in detail about the proposal that we are putting together, or we have put together, to reduce expenses to counter the drop in transient guest tax that you'll see here in a moment. So Sam, if I might ask, after the second presentation on the proposal, we are looking for an endorsement or not. So some vote from the commission of moving that forward or not. So with that said, Morris, if you don't mind, let's take a look at the budget update, please. Okay, here's your transient guest tax budget update. It looks a little bit different, but with frankly, with having to look at every line item every day, pretty much, from revenues and expenses, we've changed this report up a little bit. So, Morris, if you don't mind, since you crafted this particular spreadsheet, if you don't mind walking the commission through it, please.
Sure. So what you have in front of you is for the transient guest tax. So across the top, you have several categories. So you have revenue and then operating expenses, and you have capital listed here. So here is the transient guest tax revenue as a whole, and then there's several other revenue sources, interest off accounts, money market accounts, etc. That makes up this additional number here for a total of 1.2 million, 1,294,175. I should mention that these are the 18-19 actual numbers, the 19-20, so last budget year's actuals. This is actually the approved column for the current fiscal year. However, with the downturn in revenues due to COVID, this is actually our projected numbers. So these are kind of the numbers we're working off of. So again, this is what is actually been approved by City Council, this column, the second from the right, but this is what we believe is more true to the actual revenue coming in. So this is our new revenue number. So again, down below that, excuse me, you have the four cost centers, which make up the tourism part of the Parks, Rec, and Tourism budget. Again, these are the approved budget numbers. We've kind of modified those slightly. And this would be the total that was approved in the budget, 1.8 million. We're hoping that number is closer to 1.3 million. This number is vacant here, and I'll let Eric talk about that in a moment. So we'll circle back on that. And then the third component for the budget is the capital items. So again, some last year's 18-19 actuals, 19-20 fiscal year actuals, current budget numbers, and then what we project. The 75,000 is what Eric calls the fix-it money for the historic site. So we continue to have to make repairs to the historic sites. I mean, that's ongoing in spite of COVID and everything. We still have to maintain those buildings. The $80,000 is our match for the Truman Depot project, which is continuing to move forward, albeit quite slowly, but we're continuing to make progress on that for a total capital of $155,000. So let me scroll to the bottom here. So this is kind of a summary. This yellow box here, total revenue 1.2. Again, that's what we're projecting. Total operating expenses 1.3. This shows a deficit. We're just monitoring that. We're going to look again at that number in January. Our hope is that revenues, which have been taking an upturn here in the last few months, hopefully those will increase, and this will actually be a net zero. So we won't have any loss there at the end of the year. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
So a couple of takeaways here before we open it up. So Morris, if you could scroll back up just a bit.
Yep, sure will.
So the main thing to take away from this particular sheet, and then we'll talk about details associated with the expenses here in just a moment as part of the next presentation. But from the revenue side, so again, you see a downward trend that is very COVID related. 18-19 actuals, we were almost at $2 million with the transient guest tax. Then when the COVID shutdown began in March of last year, again, we've said it before, but we were on pace to meet or exceed that 1.9 million collected in 18-19 this past fiscal year. But then the shutdown occurred and we actually only received 1.646 million. So we were almost $400,000 short there. We had already worked on the budget and already submitted that prior to the COVID shutdown affecting us. So we were going in conservative last year with a 1.9, so basically flat from the 18-19. And then with the projections that we see now and the trend analysis that we've done, on the transient guest tax receipt rates, we're looking at 1.3. So that's like $700,000 roughly down from what we typically would get. Now, if you'll recall, that's actually better than the last time that we met. So when we did our initial trend analysis at the end of the last fiscal year, so in July, we took a look at revenue receipts, and we were projecting at that point in time we were going to be 57% down. Or that's what we were down, and that's where we were trending. That has improved to about 32% down at this point. So we have seen an uptick in July, August, September. So we are now projecting a roughly 32% down. So the budget then for operations was adjusted accordingly to meet that 32% reduction projection in revenues. So we'll go into the operating detail here as part of the proposal, but in essence, we were able to whittle it down to 1.35, which Morris indicated still leaves us with a projected balance at the end of the fiscal year of a negative 57.4. So we will be looking again at this in really at the end of the calendar year to see what that 6-month receipt rate was, and then we'll adjust accordingly from there. It's our intention, of course, to bring the fiscal year budget in at 0, so we will make adjustments as necessary. Now, that doesn't speak to our overall fund balance. That is just the fiscal year. So we still have money in the bank. And Morris, I don't recall based on the last projections what it was, but it's, is it 1.7 million in reserves, or is that the Parks and Recreation sales tax?
Just 1 second. Let me pull that up.
While Morris looks that up, just know that we still have money in reserves, which is incredibly important. So we're adjusting operations down just to meet the revenue that we have coming in for this fiscal year. So we are maintaining, although we have whittled it down slightly, we are maintaining a positive fund balance overall. So Morris will find that here in just a moment.
922,000.
Okay, so just almost $1 million still in reserves. So again, that's incredibly important, and I know I've stressed before. I never thought it would be as important as it is now today. But if you recall, we fought really hard to maintain a fund balance that was well and above what the city standard 16% fund balance would be. And sure enough, we needed to call upon that last fiscal year. So we want to maintain a healthy balance. Actually, $1 million isn't bad, but we're hoping to increase that a little bit more in future years. So, okay, now I'm sorry, Sam. Now we can open this spreadsheet up for question.
Are there any questions from anyone?
Okay, thank you.
Eric? Well, Eric, I have a quick one, I guess.
Yes.
In order to meet our current obligations, if it turns out we still have we're negative like 57,000 in December, could we tap into those emergency funds again to make up that shortfall?
Yes, that's exactly what they're for.
Okay, great. So that means we wouldn't necessarily have to make any cuts.
Correct. Yes. Now we made reductions to get to that 57, but if we really aren't logically able to meet the zero base at the end of the fiscal year, yes, we would propose to you all that we dip into reserves to make that whole.
Okay, super. Okay, great. And that was part 1, right? You don't need a motion from us for approval yet.
Correct. Yeah, that's just the status of where we are now, just to bring everybody up to speed. Now let's talk specifically about the operating reductions that we've made to get down to that 1.35. So Morris, if you don't mind bringing that bullet point sheet up, please. All right, and as he does, this is what we'll need a motion on, Sam, at the conclusion of this discussion.
Just a second here.
Sure.
I have the file open, but it doesn't want to share it for some reason.
status update. Bad news. I think I'm out of coffee. So you better hurry, Morris.
Somebody better run to your office quick and get
I'm
you some
telling
coffee.
you.
That's right.
Delivery.
That's right. The clock is ticking.
Well, that's not the one we're looking for.
No.
But nice.
It's not, I don't know where that's, so I have the file open and it is not wanting to share. I don't know what is going on here.
That is not good news.
Let me keep working here. Here we go. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay.
Nicely
Yes.
done. Okay. All right. Well, we've worked as a team to take a look at the overall operations and try to, as much as possible, reduce things without negatively impacting the staffing levels or things of that nature. And we were able to achieve that, I think. We did have a bit of a negative impact on the National Frontier Trails Museum staffing, but honestly, all of the full-time positions that we are holding at this point were all vacant. So no personnel, full-time personnel was laid off. We were not able, however, to do the same for some of the part-time staff, the front desk, center attendant type staff that were working at the museum. We did offer them some other positions at the other recreation centers, so they did have an opportunity to continue employment, just not under the tourism umbrella. All right, so with that said, here's what we're looking to do. So we already talked a little bit about the budget reduction as far as the overall net impact. So let's go specifically to museum operations. So the proposal at this point, and this was built into the negative $57,000 figure. So this is included in that operating reduction that we just looked at, was keeping the National Frontier Trails Museum closed through June of 2021. So not reopening it until next fiscal year. So would remain closed for this fiscal year. That is about a $300,000 savings. We still have some money associated with the National Frontier Trails Museum in the budget that will remain. We have one staff person that is funded out of that cost center that also works with the other historic sites. So that position needs to remain. And we still have some basic utilities and things of that nature. You know, even though the building is closed, we still have to maintain it and keep the services on at the museum. We are holding those vacant positions open, obviously, throughout the rest of the fiscal year. We are starting to talk to different organizations about the potential of a third party coming in to operate the museum. We think there's two different benefits to that. One is if a nonprofit organization or group comes in and operates the building, they will qualify for some grant and foundation type of funding opportunities that the city does not qualify for. So it does open up some funding that might assist with the overall operations and the improvement of the exhibits inside the museum. And the second is, frankly, there would be a cost savings to the overall transient guest tax budget. So we're looking very preliminarily at trying to get a third party to operate the museum, much like we do at the Vale, the Bingham, the CNA Depot. Quite frankly, the Adventure Oasis Water Park is operated by third party. The arena is operated by third party. So this is something that we're quite used to doing. It is sort of a standard mode of operation for some of those ancillary facilities where we find that outside expertise is a little bit more efficient and effective than running it in-house. So again, just some very preliminary conversations. We may officially do an RFP for those services, request for proposal, coming out just after the first of the year, but we will keep you all up to date with that. But that's what this proposal is calling for at this stage. The museum services assistant position, there is a second position that is funded in the National Frontier Tourism Museum. We're actually moving that position over to recreation. We are defining what that role will be within recreation, but quite frankly, with the pandemic on that division, we've also seen a drop in center attendance that didn't return after we reopened. We're having some staffing issues there as well, and that person has already been reassigned to the recreation division to help with some operational support of our recreation facilities. That's working out really well, so we're officially defining that role, and we'll be presenting that to the Parks Commission at their next meeting on November the 5th to make that a permanent transition. So that then will save the National Frontier Trails Museum budget a little bit of money as well. Historic Sites and Museum Administrator, that's the position I said would still be funded, and they oversee the operations, or the contracts, I should say, at the other historic sites and interface with the volunteers. So that position would still stay in the budget. All right, that gets us to historic site operations then. So staff took a good hard look at the trends of the turnstiles, or when visitors were coming to each of the sites, and determined it was pretty obvious actually that most of the attendance is happening Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So we are proposing to have the sites, when they reopen in April, as they traditionally would, that they are open to the public only Friday through Monday, and then on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday they are available for special tours, things of that nature. So staff will still be available to conduct those, they just won't be open to the public. So that is a salary savings from the standpoint that we had center attendance, if you will, site attendance, booked in to the budget originally to assist with covering all of the shifts 7 days a week. The fact is that the volunteer organizations are having a harder and harder time staffing all of those open slots with volunteers. The number of volunteers frankly, were aging out even prior to the pandemic hitting. And then when the pandemic hit, obviously, just as we did with the recreation centers, we had a number of volunteers that just weren't comfortable coming back and have tapped out. So in order to facilitate those operations, even Friday through Monday, we're going to have to put some full-time staff or some part-time staff in place to help cover those slots, we think. But that did reduce the budget, because there's 3 days a week that we're not planning on doing that with any staffing. The log courthouse will remain open by appointment only. The Truman Depot is going to remain closed, which it still is at this point, because it's still being renovated, except for, as Morris indicated, that process is so slow at this point. We're just not sure when the actual opening day for that will be. So we're just slating that for a next fiscal year event. All right, and then the visitor center will remain open Monday through Saturday as it presently is. So in general, that's the proposal. And that's what we've done to cut the budget down from its original 1.9 down to 1.3, essentially. So open for questions.
Eric, is the Truman Depot, you said sometime in the year 2021 or fiscal year 2021 likely to have an opening?
Well, both, like July or later of 21.
Okay.
quite frankly, the MoDOT review is always a little slow. It always takes a little bit of time, but that was even slower this time because we also had Union Pacific review that was required as part of this as well. So I think the review process is finally done, and the bid package is being ready to hit the streets here in the not too distant future. Is that right, Morris?
Sorry, my microphone was turned off. Currently, we're waiting on a report from Union Pacific Railroad, and then once that's everything else, MoDOT is signed off on PS&E plans submittals and or plan specifications and estimates. And once we get that UP report, we'll be ready to go out to bid. So waiting on that.
Super. All right. Thank you. Part of the reason I ask is
my gut tells me, Sam, we won't be bidding that probably until closer to until January, more than likely. By the time the holidays hit and we get the UP report in, and then if UP has any comments, then those comments have to be addressed, and then plans and specifications altered if necessary. So more than likely it's a January bid process, and then we'll go from there. So I still think, all things being the same at this point, we're probably not even going to be ready to go until July.
Okay, super. Yeah, I was part of the reason I ask is we don't have a firm date yet for reopening the Truman Library. With our grand renovation still moving forward. So I was hoping to get a sense of whether we could still maybe coordinate an opening like we had talked about before COVID-19.
Well, I'm hoping to still make an event of it, and maybe that centers around some specific date that the library is celebrating, or an event that the library is celebrating. We are still also hoping to get that mural accomplished underneath that bridge at some point in time here in 21 as well. So my hope is we can still make a big event out of that, with all 3 locations receiving a visit from Truman.
Okay, terrific. Yes, and the bridge is looking great, by the way.
Yeah.
And the artwork for the bridge, do we have, I don't want to get off track, but do we have a new artist? And if that's a different part of the meeting, we can talk about it later. But do we have a new artist commission for that artwork?
Yes, we do. Mr. Dan Brewer has signed on and has done some sketches, etc., basically pro bono, just to get things lined up so that we have a concept approved, so that when the money is available, he can get to work.
Okay, super, great. Well, thank you, Eric. Thank you, Morris. At this point, could I get a motion to approve the budget plan? I don't know if we need a voice vote, Christy, or Eric, or if you'd prefer, a simple first motion and second motion, whatever process you would prefer.
First motion, second motion would be appropriate.
Okay, very good. Do I have a motion to approve? Okay,
Motion.
I see Chris. Thank you, Chris. Do we have a second?
Second, John Thornton.
Okay, very good. Thank you, John. Okay, motion approved for the budget. And again, I guess we'll re-review this in the December meeting, or more likely the February meeting.
More likely
the revisions. Okay, February. All right, super. Okay, well, thank you both very much. We'll move on to, yes.
Just a point of information on the renovation of Truman Depot. Is there any coordination you'd like to have from the Chicago and Alton Depot in that effort to work with the Truman Depot? Because we have a number of artifacts that we've already moved down there, and we have a model train display that's been talked about. So nobody's really come back to us to inquire about that. I'd be open to that.
Yes, John, we still do we want to do all of those things still. So we did receive some information a little while back for electrical needs and things of that nature. And we have the space planned for the model train display. You haven't heard from us for a little while, honestly, because the process has been that slow. So we still are hoping to do that. As soon as the UP review comes in, then I think it would be appropriate to sit down with you again and review what the plans are, and then re-energize your efforts there.
That'd be fine. You know where I live.
Yes, sir. Sure do. Thank you.
All right. Well, Thank you. Thank you, John. Okay, moving forward to marketing and promotions. Christy?
Well,
Or Kim?
since we all met, I think the last time we met, we had discussed that we had secured some money from the CARES Act funds from Missouri Division of Tourism, round one. We got about $55,000. Then the Division of Tourism came back and said that there were $2 million that hadn't been allocated from that $15 million, and so we could reapply for money. It was going to be on a first come, first serve basis and based on need. And so Kim and I and the team at Madden worked really quickly to get together a proposal. And I decided we were just going to go for it. And I didn't want to be super greedy and ask for all $2 million. So I asked for $1 million and we got it. So we were all really surprised. So we have been working like crazy. The team from Madden has done a phenomenal job getting, because it's a lot of work to put together all the plans and then the actual marketing and then get it submitted to Division of Tourism to get approved to come back. So it was fast and furious, but beginning of October, we were running, or I guess it was into September, we were running, and our advertising has gone up. I'll let Kim kind of go over the plan and everything that we have come up with. And then at the end of that, I will share some of the assets that we have out there for people to see, to try to bring people to independence. So I'm going to turn that part over to Kim. Kim, you're muted.
There we go. Sorry. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here so we can go through a little bit of presentation. There we go. All right, can everyone see that or not? Okay. So as Christy, I'll just take off where she left off. We did apply for $1,056,000 and were awarded that money. This is, I have a media plan here that I'm just going to go through kind of to tell you all how we allocated those dollars. First of all, we purchased some hand sanitizer, antibacterial wipes, and branded them with the Independence logo that we could hand out at the visitor center and some of the attractions that are currently open. We were able to do some videography and photography to update our asset collection, which is great. We were able to go out 2 different times and get some new current assets. We had to shoot some video and photography to meet the requirements for the CARES funding, which I'll explain in just a little bit. But we are also able to secure assets that we can use in the future as well, beyond post-COVID. We continue to do some Google ads and some Google video. We did a buy on Expedia to help promote hotel stays. We did several things, different things on TripAdvisor. We created a destination page. We're running some display ads on TripAdvisor as well. We are we have a radio spot on Pandora. We are running streaming TV and display remarketing with Choozle. Choozle is a third party that represents companies like Hulu and Netflix and all of the streaming apps that you'll see on smart TVs or through your computer. Midroll Media is a podcast advertising that I think Christy's going to share something, one of those spots with you at the end here. And then Conversant is also a display advertising company. However, what we're excited about with Conversant is they are a part of the Epsilon Corporation, and they have all the ties to credit card information. So what we'll be able to do with the display advertising buy that we did with Conversant is get research back that will tell us who actually saw the ad and who visited Independence. So all of our ads are targeted within about a 300-mile radius. So we'll exclude Independence, and then we'll be able to track credit card usage and spending back to Independence from that 300-mile radius, which will also give us kind of an economic impact number, a consumer spending number, and actually how many people responded to our advertising. And then we also applied to do an ad effectiveness study. What we'll do with this is we hired a company called Destination Analytics. They're a very well-known tourism research company. And what they're doing is they're taking the ads that we're currently running right now, and they will do surveys and reach out to people to see who saw the ads. And then they'll go all the way down to be able to tell us which ads that we were running were most effective. So this definitely will help us in the future to get out there and know which ads, where our outdoor ads performing better than our history ads or whatever. So just, again, it's going to give us more information. They will also come back with an economic impact study to tell us. They have our media plan, and then they have the creative, and they'll be able to come back and tell us exactly how much economic impact was generated from our COVID marketing. We did the local NPR radio station running some spots. Again, of course, we did Facebook and Instagram, and then we did some native advertising as well. And then we submitted a print ad for a Visit Casey campaign that we do. And within all of this too, we replaced all of the media we were planning to run through September, October, a little bit of November. We replaced that media with this media so that we could save those dollars in Christy's budget to hopefully spend in the spring. Here are some of the ads that we ran. We did an outdoors campaign, more of a historical campaign, shopping and dining. And you'll see that in these campaigns.
Hey, Kim,
Yes.
Maybe I'm alone, but I'm not seeing what you're sharing there.
Yeah, I can see it fine.
I can see it.
You see it now, Eric?
No, that's okay. As long as others can see it, we're thank you.
Okay. So what we're looking at is the ads that we're running. And I was going to point out that you'll see in these, if you haven't seen them, which a lot of you probably have not, there are models wearing masks. And that was part of the CARES funding requirements, is we had to show and say within the advertising what we were doing to keep visitors safe in Independence. So we had to be very forward and vocal, or blunt, I would say, with our messaging, and talk about a mask ordinance and social distancing and the things that Independence has in place to keep visitors safe. We were able to create several different videos. We were able to CARES videos as well as videos that we can use in the future. We did a history, outdoors, and a general video. And all of these are currently on the Visit Independence Missouri YouTube channel if you all want to check them out. And then I wanted to talk about, well, first of all, is there any questions about the CARES funding before I move on to non-CARES marketing?
Yeah, Kim, I had a quick question. I think it looks really good. It's geared toward a lot of younger people, young families, which is terrific. Other than the radio ads, though, have you done any more traditional sorts of advertisement for older visitors who are, of course, a big part of our visitation, particularly like traditional print media in the Examiner or Kansas City Star, or even on local television stations, running a TV ad in local TV stations for older people?
Right. We did not. We have not run any more traditional type advertising. A lot of these CARES funds, we also wanted to do things that to test basically test out new mediums that we probably wouldn't be able to afford to do on a regular normal budget year, and see kind of what works so that we can, you know, plan for the for future as well. So no, we didn't do any like KC Star or anything like that. We really tried to reach and be creative and think outside our box a little bit. But I will tell you, and these ads do reflect younger couples and families. However, our targeting does not limit that. Our targeting is more like 25 to 65 is the age that we target in all of these mediums. So even, you know, a Facebook ad or whatever, we're not limiting it to one demographic.
Okay, great. And I like the, you know, the social distancing and the awareness of COVID-19. Is that campaign going to move forward? How far into 2021 are you planning to? Is it more like a wait and see, you know, to see how the number of cases, the trajectory of that, right. You know, are you kind of taking a wait and see, or are you kind of figuring, well, we're going to probably have to do this for the next 6 months? You know, in terms of the social distancing, the COVID specific. Right.
This was totally mandated by the state. This messaging, we think that it's important to say it. We think there's better ways to say it to please more people. We have gotten some negative comments on Facebook about masks, just because there's those people out there. So probably change it a little bit when it's not mandated by the state. Still let visitors know that we're doing what we can to keep them safe, but maybe in a more subtle messaging, if that makes sense.
It'd be nice to get some of this advertising beyond election day, when the clutter of advertising will diminish. It seems like pre-election there's nothing but campaigning.
Yes, that's so true, and it's really driving the cost of advertising up. Whoever came up with the CARES funding for the state of Missouri, and who we're not really sure. I think it came through the office administration there at the state level, but yeah, it's a little bit of bad timing when we're running all of this $15 million worth of CARES funding throughout these different CVBs at election time. So it has been difficult, and they did a time frame on it. We have to be done with everything by November 15th. So all of this media has to run by November 15th. So when Christy said when we were really working quickly, we were trying to get all of this media bought, negotiated, creative, approved by MDT and back and launched bot, so that we could get as much run as we possible before November.
Yeah, everything had to be launched, and we had to pay for the advertising, and then have receipt of payment for the advertising, and then send that to the Missouri Division of Tourism by the middle of November to be reimbursed. And so it was a very, very quick turnaround time. That really dictated what we were able to do as well.
I guess, does that mean the ads will not run beyond November 15th? I assume they will, but is that correct?
They will not be these ads. We will be running ads beyond November 15th, but not out of the CARES funding. Okay,
gotcha. Right, because I think Russ makes an excellent point about all of the noise out there now. Yes.
Yes, it's a great point.
And I do applaud your efforts there to incorporate more diversity into your ad campaign. That's well done.
Thank you. Yeah, and as I said before, when we did this video shoot and photography, we did mask on, mask off. We really wanted to build a good, fresh, new asset library that we can use post-COVID as well. That's also why we tied in some of the research, so that we could have research also paid for by the CARES funding that we can use in the future. So I'll move on here to the Paranormal Path campaign. I think we showed this to you maybe a couple months ago of what we planned on doing. It is actually launched and running through the month of October. We created new video and image development, and Christy may be showing a video, one of these videos after this as well. What we wanted to do is increase the awareness of the Independence haunted attractions, just kind of to set Independence apart from other cities in the state. We knew there were going to be 4 Saturdays in October, and then we eventually would like to increase the Paranormal Path to expand across the year. What we've really found during this is that there are a lot of people that travel around the country to go to haunted attractions. There is a large niche for this type of thing. We ran Facebook ads, Google ads, and video, and then again some native advertising. And this is just an example of the Facebook ad. And I'll let Christy show the video. But we did videos for all 3 locations, and again, they're all on the YouTube channel. I will say I looked this morning, and all of the videos together, just from October 1st, have had 122,000 views. Might be one of the most successful campaigns I've personally ever worked on. You can go to the website, and we added a Paranormal Path button, and you can look at the landing page, and that's where the videos also are. And then we know that all of those haunted attractions have a huge history in Independence and have a great story to tell. So we also developed a story, which we call a presentation layer. It's also under the Paranormal Path button on the website. Anyway, the story will take you through the history of each location as well, and the importance that the role it plays in the history of Independence. We created logos and stickers for each attraction. And then these stickers can be handed out at the attraction as well as the visitor center. And I'll let Christy show that, but real quickly, I'll go over some of these 3rd quarter results. So in our general outdoors and history niches, you can kind of see some of these ads. So this is July to September. So the CARES funding didn't really kick in till mid-September. So we've seen over 5 million impressions on Google. We've had 22,676 clicks to our Facebook ads, and then over 9,000 clicks to our native content ads. And if you're not familiar with native content, I'll explain it real quickly. When you're reading an article online, let's say you're on parents.com or something like that, and you'll see little images with copy, and it'll say something you might also be interested in. Or a long time ago when it first started, it said around the web, but now it's more like, and sometimes it might say sponsored content. But what we do is we place those ads on an article that is relative to visiting Independence. So it could be traveling with your kids, or it could be like a food and wine website. But anyway, whatever the content is, that is the consumer's reading is relative to our ad being served up. Here are, we have 6,955 followers on Facebook, up 1% from the previous quarter. 345 people saw an organic post, up from 274 in the previous quarter, and these two were the most engaged with Facebook posts. Website analytics, we're up to over 50,000 users. That's for the quarter. Looks like we have about 37-second average session duration. And then again, we're real close. Starting in January, we'll have the year-over-year analytics that we'll be able to look at. And then this is the last slide. This is just, 52,000 visits. And then this pie graph shows us where the traffic is coming to the website. So when it says Madden, those are our native campaigns and Facebook. And then CPC is our paid search engine marketing. And then you'll see more Google, we do Google and Bing. And then content OB is the native ads. And that's all I have. Anybody have any questions for me?
Kim, it's been a very strange year, obviously. Would we be able to see the third quarter results of this year compared to last year, or is this year just such an aberration that it probably wouldn't be useful? I'd kind of be curious.
I don't think we have those numbers actually, Sam, because the transition that was happening last year between marketing companies, Madden didn't come on officially until later in the year. So we don't have the numbers to compare, but we will have those numbers moving forward.
Okay, sounds good. You know, I really like those logos and stickers, you know, and I was thinking, I'm sure you were too, about branding opportunities, t-shirts, mugs, things like that. Has there been some thought to that, you know, for the individual historic sites?
We'll definitely be working with the sites once they open to be able to incorporate this and be able to, you know, show them, you know, what we've been doing. I know I put mine on my computer, my laptop, so when I'm out and about, I've got them on. So when we eventually are able to go to trade shows, et cetera, I'll have all of them on my laptop. We'll be facing people, so.
Yeah, and I think that as my team is planning for spring to get ready to present to independent, we have like phase 2 of this campaign, and I did see some mock-ups of like tote bags and t-shirts and different, you know, things like that. So yeah, I definitely think that we can put more. We want to just continually grow this campaign. So yeah, I definitely see that kind of thing in the future.
Yeah. And I don't suppose we'd have to worry about the knockoffs, but, you know, I wonder if there's anything proprietary about those logos, you know, whether they've been trademarked or anything like that. Maybe that's not a concern or not, but whether it is.
That's a good point. Maybe we should
trademark
those. Yeah.
Yeah, the ownership.
Yeah.
In some ways it might benefit us if people did knock them off and start helping.
Yeah.
So
Christy, did you want to show?
Yeah, I was going to go ahead and show the video, and I think Zach helped me figure out how this is going to work. I don't know if I got it right or not. Let me know if you can hear. Can you see the chandelier?
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm going to push play, and if you can't hear it, I'm going to turn it off and try something else. Could you hear that?
No.
Okay.
No.
All
You
right.
have to check the use system audio button, Christy.
Okay, it didn't give me that option. Let's see. Oh, wait. Oh, here we go. I think, sorry, I'm not technologically savvy like Zach is, but let's see. Oh, great. Sorry. I had it up to go and it just.
You want me to run down there?
Yes.
All right, one second.
I had it ready to go. Now it's up. Let's see. Sorry about that. Okay, I think I've got it now. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay.
What?
Can you hear that video?
Yeah.
Okay.
Draws your eyes to the open door
I'm gonna
across the
start that
room.
up.
Why can't you look away from the darkness beyond the...
I'm going to start it over just so you can hear the whole thing.
What draws your eyes to the open door across the room?
Why can't you look away from the darkness beyond the door frame?
What's there in the shadows that has so captivated your worry?
Can you feel it coming closer?
The dread tugging at your thoughts. That's the past.
The wounded past.
pulling the veil between you thinner and thinner until it's thin enough for you to see just how close they truly are.
Come sit with Sophia Vale and admire her elegant mansion. Ignore the shifting shadows. Those are merely stains left over from the mental patients once locked in the basement.
Come, walk through the 1859 jailhouse. These little cells aren't as empty as they appear.
Come wander the grounds of the Bingham Wagoner estate, but watch your step on the stair. They've proven to be treacherous.
Come visit Independence.
We're waiting.
For you.
That's great. I think we've seen that before, but that was, see why that would be effective.
And then I'm going to try, let's see.
It's too bad we don't still have the Swope Mansion
Oh, I know.
property. After what I read about the deaths at the Swope Mansion, that would have been a nice addition to this paranormal tour.
Yes.
That's very true. Yeah.
Now I'm going to share one of the videos. I'm not sure which one this is, but let's see. Can everybody see this video?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. That is another one of our videos that we just had come out. Let's see.
Christy?
That was the gym. Yes.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you. Just a
Oh,
small
that's
point. I think it looked great, that last one, but kind of just a point that the folks that are walking up to the Truman Library are walking up our old main entrance, but the new one is going to be on the east side of the building. But anyway, I'm not asking to do anything unnecessarily, but just that folks will not be coming up those steps anymore.
Right. I don't know that people will even notice the difference. I mean, I don't think that we could actually have access to the new entrance when we were filming the videos. So
Yeah, and we do
Understood.
have, yeah, and we
Understood.
do
Sure.
have plans to come back. We're bringing the film crew back to finish up some things, and we love to include the Truman Library. And we actually could get a shot of the new entrance and swap it out in this video very easily.
Sure. Sure, and you could certainly do the outside. You know, you'd be welcome even now.
Yeah.
You know, to do a walk up. But
right.
great, thank you.
And
Looks
then,
good.
yeah, so that was just like the general video, and then we have a history video and then outdoors video, but those are all on the Visit Independence YouTube page, I believe. But then Kim was saying that we got some advertising on some podcasts, and so the podcasts, I think I've actually heard people that have heard them. So what we did is they were provided with the same information, and then they all just put their own spin on it. And so the one I was kind of most excited about was Literally with Rob Lowe. So I will share that one for you guys if we can.
So I'm not hearing anything, Christy. Should I?
You're not?
No.
Okay. Try this
Maybe.
again.
Is anyone else?
No.
Okay, I thought you guys had it all. Hold on just a second. Let me
Okay.
try to do this again. Sorry, this is
No
not.
problem.
Can you see a little music
Yes.
note? Okay, we'll try this now.
So when I was a kid, I used to take these long distance trips across the country in the car with my parents, and I loved it. And I would posit that it may be time to start exploring in that way again. So perhaps, just perhaps, you might think about taking a new adventure to, of all places, Independence, Missouri. Here's why I think you should do it. They have their safety precautions in place. It's right in the middle of the heartland, where that heartland heritage is beating strong, right near Kansas City. Has all of the attractions of a big city, but with a small town feel. And it is the sort of centerpiece of the legacy of President Harry Truman, an unbelievable American, really interesting man. It was his home, Independence. And it is one of only 14 presidential libraries in the country, the Truman Library. And it is reopening this fall after a $30 million renovation. You can walk in the footsteps of pioneers along the winding trails. You can indulge in the great barbecues and the local brews and the historic Independence Square. And by the way, this is my favorite part. There's some serious haunted ghost tours there. So if you're down to clown with ghost tours like me, the ghost home tour is fun. So I love finding cool, interesting, off the beaten path places. So Independence, Missouri, I would check it out. Be sure to bring along your favorite face covering, as the county has a mask ordinance to keep everybody safe. And you can find and plan your visit at visitindependence.com and start writing your own great American story. So when I was a kid, I used to take these long.
So that's just part of what we've been working on since we last saw each other. So just some examples so y'all could see what we're doing.
Christy, this is John. Was there a video that went along with that, or
No,
was
that was just an example of a podcast is just something that you listen to on the radio or you know, whatever. And so it's just audio. So that was just Rob Lowe doing advertisement for us during his podcast.
Okay, when I listened to the very opening statement, it talked about independence of all places. That had kind of a negative connotation to me. I was wondering if maybe they could change that of all places to something a little more positive.
I think that was like a live read, and you know, like I said, they were just given basic information. They kind of just put their own spin on it. And you know, the way I took it was, you know, of all places, I never thought about it, but it's really great, and this is why you should go.
Okay, well, that was just my first thought.
Sure thing.
So
That's quite a celebrity catch, you know.
Absolutely.
Impressive. Yeah.
do we have the actual ghost tours there on the schedule, and they're taking place even with COVID?
They are taking place. They are, if you visit independence.com, there's a Paranormal Path landing page on there, and then you can see the tours that are available. Most of them now are, they've all been by appointment because they are limited due to social distancing and the numbers, et cetera. So, but a lot of people are just booking private tours directly with the societies and Apex Paranormal. They're the ones that are taking care of all the bookings. So you can get to all that information through the Visit Independence website.
And just additional point of clarification. So those things initially were treated as programs, just as we have at the recreation centers, et cetera. The protocol to adhere to the county guidelines was developed prior to releasing those programs and approved by our health department folks. So The private rentals, we're treating those the same way as we do the rentals in the recreation centers, et cetera. So we are still able to do things. We just have to have those safety precautions in place prior to either the rental happening or the program. So that's how we're able to still keep things operating at the sites.
Yeah, I was just thinking that if other people who are, we're doing virtual tours, and if others like Ralph, who's doing the wagon tours with the mules, if some of us could cross-reference the few things that are up and running, it might boost some of the business for them if we could mention it during the tours that are being given.
Absolutely.
What kind of admission charges are the sites charging for the ghost tours, Christy?
Those are set by the societies and Apex. I think it's don't quote me. I think it was like $25 a person for the ghost tours, and then their minimum they're limited to 20 people per group, because as you know, having 20 people in the Vale or the Bingham, that's definitely plenty of room to socially distance. So.
Right. Okay, and maybe they offer a group rate.
Yes, when they do the private groups, there's a specific group rate, and then, but those rate are capped as well.
Okay.
And Christy, all of those programs, all of those tours that you have offered as programs have sold out, correct?
Yes, they're all sold out. So anybody that wants to do a paranormal tour would have to schedule a private tour, because all the tours are set up through the end of October, is what we really focused on. But I can tell you that the first weekend in December, ghost hunters from A&E are going to be here at the Vale and the Bingham, and those sold out almost immediately.
Okay, well, thank you, Kim. Thank you, Christy. Can we move forward to Wendy in the historic preservation update, please?
Yeah, Morris and Eric pretty much touched on what I was going to discuss, just that the repairs are still ongoing at the historic sites, even though they're closed, and that the Truman Depot project is still moving forward. So if there are any additional questions that I can answer about either of those, I'd be happy to, but otherwise I think they covered it pretty well.
Okay, great. Are there any questions for Wendy? Okay, well, thank you, Wendy.
Status of the repairs to the Frontier Trails Museum foundation on the northeast corner?
Yes, Morris has actually been working with an engineering firm. I think, Morris, could you provide a little more information about the status of that project?
Sure. So we engaged the services of a structural engineering firm, Walter P. Moore Engineers. It's kind of been a slow process, but they are supposed to report back to us by the end of the month, which is coming up here quickly. So we're waiting on that report to kind of give us some direction on what we should do to deal with those issues with the foundation. So kind of on hold at the moment.
Okay, very good. You have reports in your packet on social media activity and sales and services. I know we already touched on some of those things, of course, historic site and museum operations as well. Anything that anyone wants to specifically call out in those reports? Okay, very good. Any other business we would like to attend to this morning? Okay, I will say, Jim Allen served us for a very long time and served us very well as chair of the Tourism Advisory Board and then Tourism Commission. What would you all think about sending a certificate of appreciation to him?
I would support that.
Okay.
Well,
all right, I'm sorry.
Well deserved. Worked hard.
I agree. I agree. Is this something the city could do and then have us all sign physically, or how would we do this, Christy?
I guess it would depend on if we wanted to just do it from the commission, or if we wanted to approach the city council and ask if they could do it or present it to Jim at a meeting, or do something at one of their meetings.
Yeah, I would propose the latter. That we ask the city council to consider that. I don't know how the process for that works, but I'd be glad to move that forward if you want me to in some way. Christy, maybe you and I can do that offline.
Sure.
Or
we will figure that one out.
Okay.
Yeah, Christy, you simply need to ask Kim to introduce it to the mayor, and then we'll await word.
Okay.
And is this a physical certificate he'd be getting in the mail, or a digital one, or I don't know?
It would, if you went through that process, it would be a physical. It would be a proclamation, essentially.
Terrific. Oh. I like that idea. What do others think?
Thumbs up. Yes.
I think that's a great idea, Sam.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Okay. Well, that sounds like a very good idea. Okay. Well, unless there isn't any other business, and I don't want to rush us off the line, but if there isn't any other business, I will take a motion to adjourn.
I would like to compliment Eric and his contract people on the appearance of the Trails Museum, the spring cabin, and the depot. The area looks very well maintained. It was very appealing. Looked like it was ready for visitors about 3 weeks ago when I looked at it carefully.
Yeah, the new cabin is wonderful. The reconstruction is a good job.
Yeah, the contractor did do a fabulous job with that. Thank you, John. I'll pass that along to the crews. And just a reminder, we still have some work to do on that cabin. The skirting and the fireplace still need to be put on there. And as soon as funding allows, we'll get that project complete.
Mm-hmm. And it is open by appointment, correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, it does look great. Okay, well, could I have a motion to adjourn unless anyone else has something else they want to say?
Motion.
I'll
Second?
Chris.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Chris. All right. Well, have a great day, everyone. Thank you very much.
Good luck with your opening plans.
Thank you, Russ. Moving forward.
Yeah.
What was that?
I'm anxious to get over there and see that. Hopefully before I leave in January, I go back to Las Vegas. So.
Oh, are you leaving in January?
Yeah, so
okay.
I would be disappointed if I don't get a chance to see the new museum.
Okay, gosh, Russ, thanks for mentioning that. I'll see what I can do.
Thanks.
I know somebody over there. Okay, well, thank you all very much. Have a great day. Appreciate your time this morning.